Otherwise, if you're sitting in the regular cross-legged position, just maybe support your knees and your hips with a couple of cushions. And as you're settling into your meditation posture, particularly if you're sitting in the traditional seated posture with with your legs crossed, try to just gently relax into that rather than, forcing, pushing. So feel the soles of the feet on the floor if that's how you're sitting, and have your knees about a hip's width apart, shoulders aligned with the hips. And imagine your spine is this a beautiful string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just imagine you're lengthening your spine. Imagine you have these Dr. Spock ears and you're just very gently lengthening your neck and gliding your ears back to align with your shoulders. And bring your attention to the crown of the head and relax the scalp, and maybe you can feel some sensation there. Relax the forehead and the eyes and the back of the eyes, maybe your eyelashes even. And the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth, and relax the back of the tongue and the jaw and the ears and the inner ears. Relax the back of the head, the neck, and allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to just drop down. And relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. Notice the sensation of the air as you inhale and exhale. So it's a little bit cooler as you inhale through the nostrils and slightly warmer as you exhale. And be aware of the sounds in your environment. So I'm not sure if the microphone is picking up the crickets, but they're quite loud tonight. So just allow the sounds to be there. In my case, the crickets. They're just doing their own thing. So you may have people in your house and pets wandering around or talking to you. You might hear traffic outside. If you are in an apartment, you might hear people coming and going from next door or sounds from next door. And then be aware of what might be arising in your mind this evening. So those of you on the East Coast, we're at the other end of the day now, you might be feeling a little sleepy, so your mind might have slowed down considerably. Or not. Just notice the difference between the morning and the evening and the activity of the mind. And of course, sometimes when you're totally sleepy, and as soon as the head hits the pillow, all of these thoughts start to come. So let's just have a look and see what's there. And just allow the thoughts to arise. And just put some space in between them so it's not this kind of rush of stuff inside the head. And take a step back and just try and be objective about what's there. Maybe if you have some thoughts that don't necessarily serve you, perhaps you can place them on a little cloud and just allow that cloud to float away. And then bring to mind some people of your life, and you can start with the ones you love. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, in this realm right now. They may have passed, but they're still in your heart somehow. And then there's the ones you don't like, and then there's our strangers, and just be aware that these relationships can be interchangeable. Regardless of how we think about each one of these people from these different groups in our life, at this moment, they're all equal. They're all just like you and me. We're all the same, really. We all just want to be happy. We don't want to suffer. And we all have, which might be a bit of a surprise to some, particularly for those we don't like that much. Everyone has this capacity for a Buddha mind. Even those, there's, a number of public figures who we might think are, a bit ridiculous. Even those ones do have this same potential. They're just not in it right now. They're somewhere else. So then they will do this meditation for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So all the beings in your environment, all the little beings in my environment up here in the forest, all the the wildlife, the bird life, the ocean life, and the people. People do this for their sake. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is, basically a psychological one. And we create negativity with our mind. So equally, we can change it by creating positivity instead. And we start with this power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of this future suffering that we will experience. We know from our present suffering we don't want any more. Logically, it does then make sense to remove these karmic seeds before they ripen as more suffering. So we think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance, and we turn to the Buddha Vajrasattva, who we see as a doctor who has these methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we're needing the Buddha to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon these methods, his medicine. So you imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light. And he's sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. And he has a sweet red mouth. His hair is held up in a top knot and is black. And his arms are crossed at his heart, the right, left underneath the right, and the left is holding a bell, and this represents wisdom. The right is holding a vajra, and this represents this indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, and this symbolizes enlightenment, infinite wisdom, infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you, and we just have compassion for them because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these sentient beings. I must purify for their sake. And so now we come to this power of remedy. And this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any sentient being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and it just disappears into space. Not one atom left. It doesn't pollute anything or anyone. It just disappears as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe And so be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you, and, all our inappropriate speech, not knowing what to say at the right time. All of this is purified by this, this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe Am Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And that includes yourself, benefiting yourself because you'll be hearing it. So next is the purification of our mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately, again, this time, sending powerful beams of white light from his heart. And this kind of arcs around and enters your crown and just fills your entire being. So just almost as suddenly as when you walk into a room and you flick on a switch and the light instantly dispels the darkness. So same here. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all your attachment, depression, anxiety, neediness, bitterness, grudges, jealousy, disappointment, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasapa samaya manupalaya vajrasapa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And now think there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And so next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And this time, imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar. And imagine it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness. As we recite the mantra again. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya vajrasappa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya vajrasappa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya vajrasappa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya vajrasappa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriam guru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a humpe. Vajrasappa samaya manupalaya vajrasappa dina patita. Dita me boa situkaya me boa sipokaya me boa. Anurakta me boa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Bhadrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Bhadrasapa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Bhadrasapa Samaya Manupalaya Bhadrasapa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So now feel you're completely purified and there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to this power of resolve, and this is the fourth and final step in the purification process, and it's a really crucial one. And this is this determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind, or to refrain from harming. And without this determination, we're just going to keep doing the same old things over and over again. We'll just keep following the same old habit energies, habits. So we make a decision. I don't really want to harm. And then, first of all, rejoice in your efforts, particularly if you've noticed changes over, for those of you who've been here for the last, 3.5 odd years. I mean, Shayla was sharing in the last class that she's noticed some changes. You can share at the end if you wish, Shayla. But so in this way, it's kind of like, yeah, wow, that's different now. And that's fantastic. And it's all about commitment and just repetition. We're doing the same thing over and over again. So we're familiarizing our mind with this practice, this meditation. So think of something you'd like to work on. Maybe it's a reactivity to something. Could be anything to do with the body, the speech, or the mind that you know you have a habit to do that's maybe doesn't really serve you or anyone else. It often doesn't even make you feel that good. So think about that. And just remember this determination sort of gives us a bit of guardrails, a bit of strength, a bit of focus. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you and through your crown. And you think my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche would recommend to meditate on emptiness. So we think in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So whatever level you understand emptiness, just place your mind there for a moment. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They don't exist from their own side. It's not that they don't exist. They just don't exist the way we think they do. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And then let's just do I know we're a bit late today, so do 3 verses. Most wise upholder of the great illusion, fulfiller of the great illusion's aims, enraptured by the great illusion's rapture, the great illusion's great illusionist, the foremost lord of great munificence, supreme upholder of great discipline, intense supporter of great tolerance, with valor rooted in great diligence, samadhi resting through great meditation, endowed with bodies flowing from great wisdom, both great in strength and great in skillful means, a brimming ocean filled with vows and knowledge. So dedicate for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche as recommended by His Holiness. And then a long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And of course, as we just mentioned, for Lama Zopa Rinpoche to return, and for your own teachers, long lives.